Hey, welcome to StreetMotoZ. Today I'm going to do a review on my 2023 Ninja 650. This is a 2023 Ninja 650 KRT edition. It does not have ABS. Not all of them have ABS, but wanted to do a review on it and how it's been holding up for me. Let's get on and give it a ride. Okay, I've had this motorcycle. I bought it used with about 800 miles on it. It had already been serviced properly with good synthetic oil, and it was really in great condition, and it still is in really good condition. Probably not as good, but it's very close. I've got 4,492 miles on it, and I've put about 3,700 miles on it since I bought the motorcycle. I actually set the trip be 3,795 miles, and it's been a really good bike. It's got a lot of good torque to it. It's great for the street. The handlebars are up a little bit higher, so you don't have to bend down and grab down low like a track bike or a 600 series. So it's more of a sport touring bike, so it's made for riding around on the street, but you could take it to the track if you want. I haven't been to a track, but it's been a really good bike. The only problems I've had with it is just standard problems that any motorcycle would have. I had to adjust the chain twice. I had to clean the chain about 4 times. I don't get in the dirt that much, so I don't have to clean the chain as often. I did notice after I was practicing doing wheelies for the first couple of sessions that the chain did stretch a good bit, and it was a bit floppy. I could actually tell that the chain was loose, and it was giving a little bit of a rubber smell because it was dragging on top of one of the rubber chain guides. So I got that fixed as quick as I could, and once that chain was fixed, it's back to normal, in great working order. I did have to make an adjustment to the throttle. It was a little bit loose, and that's a simple adjustment. I have another video on how to do that. I do notice the back tire is starting to lose some tread, and in the next 1,000 miles I may have to replace the back tire. I've read that the front tire lasts twice as long as the back tire, so I'll probably have to replace the back tire. I think the tires that are on this bike are really good. They hold up really well. I haven't had any slippage issues. I did have to be careful when the tires were cold to not try to go around any corners fast or not try to do anything too aggressive. But once the tires warmed up, they performed really well. The bike does have a good bit of torque, and it can wheelie easily in first gear and second gear. I haven't tried third gear yet. I like the rear view mirrors. They're a bit forward, and when you're down low, you can still see the rear view mirror and see behind you. I kind of like these mirrors sticking out. They look like insect antenna. I think they look pretty cool. I have had to wash the bike a few times. Haven't had any issues. I did have a rock hit the gas tank, and I have a little chip in the gas tank, and those kind of things just bug me because there's just no turning back from those kind of things. The stopping power on the bike is really good. The stock brake pads that come with the bike are excellent. It stops very quickly. I don't have ABS, so I'm having to learn how to properly stop without ABS, which I think is a benefit. It's a good learning tool to turn off that ABS and learn how to stop and do quick stops without it. It does have traction control. It's got 2 levels of traction control. I usually keep it in level 1, which is regular street riding. There's a level 2, which is for rain and snow, and I have been in the rain and put it on level 2. I didn't notice a big difference in that because I was driving really carefully in the rain, but I felt more secure with it in the rain in case I did hit some water or some oil on the ground. Now when I practice wheelies, you can turn this traction control, it's called KTRC. You can turn that off if you're doing any sort of stunt maneuvers like wheelies. I do like the fact that it's more of a touring bike, because this is my first time on a motorcycle, my first motorcycle I've ever owned, and it's a little more comfortable because the handlebars are up higher. What I do like about the motorcycle that has been very helpful is this windscreen. It's really small, so you would think, well, it doesn't make a big difference. But once you hit 70 miles an hour, it makes a difference. It does not block the wind over my helmet, but it does block the wind at my chest and below. And I can duck down if I need to, if I'm going faster than 70, because the wind can get really strong once you get past 70 miles an hour. But I like the windscreen and the wind protection. Kind of makes the bike more like a needle, so it cuts through the air nicely. Do like the fact that the shocks are nice and comfortable. The seat is pretty comfortable too. Once I ride an hour and a half, I'm ready for a break on this motorcycle, mainly because my knees need some stretching and some circulation. I've tried riding past that. Once I get to about 2 hours, my knees start hurting and I have to stretch them out like that. Sometimes I sit on the passenger seat. Sometimes I stand up on the motorcycle to try to get some circulation in my knees and in my legs. The angle of the knee is not aggressive like some sport bikes, but it's more aggressive than standard touring bikes and cruisers. So your legs do get tired, and I do have to take breaks at least every hour to hour and a half when riding this Ninja 650. Another thing this bike has is it gets great gas mileage. As you can see, I'm averaging 57.8 miles per gallon right now. So that's probably the normal gas mileage for this Ninja 650. I think if you go to any of the leader bikes, you're looking at about 40 miles per gallon. The lights on this motorcycle are awesome. There's 2 headlights. The front end looks aggressive, and both lights come on whether you're on high beam or low beam. All the controls on the motorcycle are pretty standard from what I understand. So if you're riding on this Ninja 650 and you move to a ZX10 or to a 1000 SX, they're very similar, except the ZX10 and the 1000 SX do have cruise control and a few other controllable options. I did find, in order to put a phone mount, I had to use a stem mount, and I have a little place for my garage door opener right here that it fits on, just on the right of the stem mount. I haven't installed a power outlet, but right over here there's a place for it. I just don't ride that far on this motorcycle to require one. The furthest I've been is maybe a 2.5 hour ride. And my phone usually works much longer than that. The gear shifting works really nice. This is a manual transmission, so You use the clutch for shifting up and shifting down. You can shift without the clutch if you have the RPMs just right, but I usually always use the clutch. This is the small practice testing area that the South Carolina Department of Transportation uses to test people on motorcycles. It looks like they have a turn area and a quick stop. The red area is for quick stopping. Let's give it a try. All right, looks like I stopped in 12 feet. The acceleration of this motorcycle is excellent. It accelerates very fast. It's got just over 60 foot-pounds of torque, just over 60 horsepower. So it's a good blend of horsepower and torque for the street. The top speed of this motorcycle is around 135 miles an hour. When I'm on the interstate, which I don't like driving on the interstate, it handles really well. Driving at about 70 miles per hour. The tachometer is at about 6,000 RPMs. And when on regular highways with 55 mile per hour speed limits, it is very easy to pass people if you need to. I've had no other mechanical issues with a motorcycle, no steering problems, no problems with the engine, no problems with the transmission. One thing interesting this bike has is it does have a small trunk. Below the passenger seat, that seat will come out and you can store your paper items there. You can store like your insurance card or your tax information, your registration. And I also store my maintenance log, so every time I do any sort of maintenance like cleaning the chain, adjusting the chain, changing the oil, or any maintenance on this bike, I do update the maintenance log. The balance of the motorcycle is nice. I can feel the balance. I can feel the balance. It's really smooth. When you turn left, when you turn right, it's got a good balance point. I don't feel like I'm on top of this bike. I feel like I'm in the bike. Now, I have ridden larger chopper type bikes, and those feel a lot more substantial than this bike, but of course they weigh a lot more than this bike. This bike weighs just over 400 pounds, and those choppers can weigh, you know, 600, 700 pounds, and they feel heavier and they feel a bit more substantial, but they don't feel as nimble. This motorcycle feels very nimble. Like if you need to dodge some holes or some potholes, you can get around them pretty quick. To make this bike a dream bike, what would it need? It's got the bones, it's got a lot of what it needs to be a dream bike. I think if it had cruise control, that would be a major plus. Also, I think if it had some fallover protection, if it had something on the back end to protect the back fairings from getting scraped when it falls over, that would be very awesome. I do have frame sliders on here. That does protect the front fairings, but it doesn't protect the handlebars, the clutch, the brakes on the handlebars. If there was some way to protect those for when the bike falls over, that would be awesome. I think if there was a way you could take the bike out of traction control without having to stop it, that would be good. I think it would be nice if the front windshield was just a little bit bigger and it had a little bit more wind blockage. I do love the shape and the look of this bike. It looks really cool. The colors are awesome. The Kawasaki green and black. The logos, the stickers, everything looks really cool on this bike. It looks really nice. It's sexy. I know they come with a kind of an ugly fender in the back, and just about everybody that gets these kind of bikes, they perform a fender delete kit on it and remove that back fender. This bike has had that done to it. It was actually done to it before I purchased it, and I like it a lot better without that ugly fender sticking out of the back. I'm sure they have to have that to be able to sell motorcycles in the United States. I think everything else that the bike has is awesome. Hope you like this video. Like and subscribe. And remember, it's not about the destination, it's about the ride, baby. Yeah! Still got my Dragonfly, buddy. Woo!